Today, I'm scrapbooking 3 5x7 photos for a 2-page spread. Welcome back to Emilee's Paper Caper, where you'll find inspiration to scrap your stash and get some pages done. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Hit that subscribe button and bell icon now so you won't miss any of the fun ideas. Now, let's take a look at the supplies that I have pulled for this layout. I wanted to complement the photos. They're very colorful, but there are also a lot of different colors and patterns in the photos. So I'm going to use lots of colors and patterns with my supplies. I love this ombre paper, and I think it'll be a great background. I want to kind of create a visual interest by putting the green in the upper left and the lower right corners. The photos feature pictures of murals in Nashville. So my title will read Nashville Murals. I know that's a very simple title, but I want to do something a little visually interesting by creating the title with my word punch board. This blue scrap of paper was left over from my last layout. You might recognize it. I think it's a pretty paper and it's thin, so it's easy to punch the letters. I haven't had this word punch board for very long, and I decided to store it in a school pencil box. The letters seem to fit nicely in here. One of the things I really like about this word punch board is that you never run out of the letters you need. Unlike letter stickers, where you can run out of some letters, this has an endless supply. Don't get me wrong, I am still a big fan of letter stickers, no doubt. It's a little bit hard to read these letters, so I'm going to back the strips with a darker color. Since the paper is pretty thin and narrow, I'm going to use some tiny glue dots to adhere the strips to the background paper. This thin paper was super easy to punch, but you have to be careful when you have such thin paper because it will rip easily when you go to mount it on your background. Adding my title to a layout is usually the last thing or one of the last things I do. In this case, I did it first because it was going to be more time consuming, and I like to get those things out of the way. Now I'm going to adjust things and lay them out on the page and figure out how I want this layout. I know that I have 3 photos. They're 5x7 photos instead of my usual 4x6 because I really wanted to highlight the murals, and the slightly larger size photo helps with that. I like to just adjust and move things around and decide how I want things on the page. In this case, I'm using some 6x6 papers and decided to cut the one with the cameras down to 3x3 squares to kind of accent the page with them. The photos, because they're 5x7s, they're a bit larger, and I do want to fill the space across this 2-page spread. So I'm going to let one of the photos overlap across 2 pages. This means I'll have to cut the photo, but there's a good spot to do that between a couple of the bears in that top photo mural. At this point, I'm feeling pretty good about how things are falling together here, but I do feel like I need a little more contrast in those background 6x6 and 3x3 squares. So I'm going to pull out that scrap of blue that's left over from the page title and create some small 2x2 squares to add to the embellishment on this page. Paper scraps are one of my absolute favorite things to use on pages. I tend to put my most recently used scraps to the left of my work area. That's why this blue scrap was so readily handy, because I just created it when I made my last layout. So adding those blue 2x2 squares really helped, I think. And now I feel like I need a little more of a border around the page, and maybe I'll mount the journaling card as well. I think this will help things stand out. To frame the page, I'm just going to get out my marker, the same marker that I used to write the journaling, and I'm just going to sort of create a relaxed doodled line around the entire page. I'd encourage you to give this a try. Don't get too worried about having your lines be exactly straight. Just relax your hand, let the lines be a little bit wonky and wobbly. It doesn't need to be perfect. It kind of adds some character as well as frames the page nicely. I decided to go ahead and doodle around the camera pattern paper squares as well. I think this kind of helps the elements on the page feel a bit connected and finished, so to speak. Since my photos aren't matted, I decided to create a few photo corners with this punch. And then I use the remaining card to mount the journaling card, so the journaling card stands out a bit better against the background. Now it's time to get that ATG gun out and adhere everything. And this is what the final page looks like. I went in and added some washi tape to the upper corners and the lower right corner to give a more finished look. And I'm going to call this done. Until next time, keep on scrapping, everybody. Thanks for watching.